Hello, and welcome to the Plant and App Low-Code Campfire for Friday, March 21st, 2025. I put the topic today as Welcome Spring because today is the first official day of spring in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm Patrick Anderson, and I'm standing in for Dale Warner today. And the Low-Code Campfire is a community gathering of people who use Plant and App so we can get together and show each other ideas that we've been working on and perhaps get help from others on things that we're having struggling with. So please be ready to help others and to ask questions for things that you need help with. All of the episodes of Low-Code Campfire are recorded and they are posted on YouTube shortly after the call happens. You can subscribe to our channel by scanning this QR code or going to youtube.com/plantandapp, and that way you get notifications when the recording has been posted. Our agenda is pretty simple. We'll do introductions first, and then we'll go into first call and look at any other new topics we have on our community website and the Campfire website. So please jump in, ask questions, feel free to share ideas with others, and you can either jump in by using the chat or raising your hand or simply unmuting because everybody has the ability to just unmute on this call. You can submit questions ahead of time by scanning this QR code, and that way we can try to prepare things ahead that we'll be able to discuss on the call. So having gone through the formalities, welcome everybody.
Hello,
Morning,
hello.
sir.
Morning.
How's everybody doing today?
Quite good.
Fantastic.
Frazzled. Lots to do. Keeping very busy.
Cool.
So, Patrick, my only
Yeah.
complaint today is it's the first day of spring and it snowed at my house last night. Can you help me with that, please?
Is there a Plant and App solution that we can come up with to help Jerry? Anybody
I
have
thought
ideas?
AI might be able to help, but it did not work.
Oh well.
It's called
Other than
no
that, all good.
code. It's called no code, not no cold.
I think when Plant and App can control the weather, we'll have it made. We won't need anything else. How's the first day of spring treating everyone else? It's really beautiful here in the Mid-Atlantic. So does anybody have anything that they want to jump in with for first call?
I have something.
Sure.
A question came up over the week where I had a situation I had to write into a table that I didn't create. So I didn't have an entity and I didn't have a, add a record action, which is nice and easy. And, just select the record number and you get all of the fields and everything. It's all pretty straightforward. So I needed to do an insert. But at the end of the insert, I needed to know what the ID was of the new record so that I can then do something afterwards. And the problem was in looking through the documentation, I could not find an example. And my feeling is that is probably the simplest thing that a no coder is supposed to do.
You're supposed to you need to return it in your SQL statement. Scope _ identity open close parenthesis. Anybody else?
Yep,
That would be correct.
Yep, that's what you're supposed to do, except how do you know that? You do an insert SQL statement, and
Mm-hmm.
then you do a select immediately afterwards.
Yes, exactly. That's it. So I'm not looking for how to solve it because I figured that out, but I had to do an awful lot of digging. And I think that it would be a really nice little simple example in the doc where you've got the run query string as to what's coming back from the run query string. In the case of putting up you have a couple of different examples in there. And I think that this one is like the most simple one. And I'm just trying to figure out ways that, to make it easy to adopt Plantain app. Um, and if somebody was testing things and they said, okay, well, I'll see what I can do about running a SQL query and not knowing how to get that value back out. So that's all I'm
So
really saying. I figured it out. It took a long time to figure it out that
when you
that's how
say,
you do
when you're referring to these examples, where exactly
it.
is that you're referring to?
In the documentation, when you go into the Planet app configuration and you've got documentation at the top and you click on that, and then you go down the list for actions and you go to the um, run SQL query, you have a couple of examples on what's being returned.
Okay. All right.
So my thought is that that would be a great little example about what's being returned, because that's probably one of the first things somebody is going to want to do, is to write into a table
hmm
and not know how to get the value back out. So it did take some digging. It didn't sound like an obvious thing. Um, I did figure it out. I did find the how do you what technique to use to get the ID once you do an insert.
hmm
Uh, but it took a little while to find it, so be kind of
So you're
nice to
saying
have that.
an example in this section right here
Yep,
of a,
yep,
so
exactly.
we have a select, we have an update, so why not have an insert? Yeah.
Yep, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Is
Yeah.
just have that.
Mhm.
That's how you get that value back out.
Sure.
Patrick, to your point, I see where maybe we could give an example, a snippet of insert code that we're not. Um, Don, the sad part is SQL is a very large, robust language, and it's just almost impossible to explain all those wonderful little nuances that sometimes we have to dig for. But I feel your pain. I just happen to use set scope identity every day of my life, so it's burned into my mind, and I bet you'll
hmm
never forget for the rest of your life now either. But
And I haven't used it in a long time, and I think I managed to pull it up pretty much right.
you did. You did very well. I was
Yeah.
waiting for Ben to jump in and answer it first, but I wanted to outflank him this morning. But Patrick, you beat both of us. So you're the
Ben is chiming in now, so let's let him.
okay.
He's got his hand up.
No, you got it right. I'm not saying about that. I was just gonna comment on what you have on the screen right now. That I found a little confusing as examples,
hmm
because this is specifically if you wanted to import the run SQL
Yeah,
action.
and
I think
I
that
thought,
I was gonna say I don't see anything right there. It just says examples. It doesn't say this is, import the following code. I think it
yeah,
would
I thought
probably
that,
be better to
you
clarify
know,
that, or not to do that and to actually put the SQL statement in there and not make it a token, what you call it, job, JSON.
so here's and maybe we can link back to this, but this is what where we'd explain what to do with the examples from, because we have we have examples on a lot of the actions, and it's basically we're saying um the screenshot from the example for the record. So you copy this and then import the action in a module. So we have so running examples is so here's the page to explain that. So it's here, but I get what you're saying. It's not very clear when you're actually in there in the action,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
this is
I know
the
what it
intention.
is
Yeah.
looking at it, and I recognize, I'm like, oh, that's JSON. That's got to be an import of,
hmm
whatever action stack they designed. But for a new person coming in here, where they jump directly to run SQL query, and it's talking about, okay, well, when you add this
hmm
action, these are the properties that you fill in or whatever, and they're looking at it, and then it says example. They may just copy that and dump that right into the SQL action after they create it, not
Yeah.
realizing what they need to do is copy that and then import it as an
So I think
action.
an improvement could be if we're, since we have so many actions, there are so many pieces of documentation that are just like this, we could put here just a link back to the running examples page, so that you know how do like something, how do I use this example, and it links back to here. Might be a good way to handle it. What do you think of that?
At least it's something where,
Yeah.
someone can't turn around and say, I didn't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
In my 2 cents on that, I looked at it and I didn't even want to go to the next step of, oh, I can actually try this SQL in in the running examples. I just looked at it and said, okay, you're doing a select. I could see the select in your JSON there. It still doesn't tell me what it's going to return. And that's the thing that I'm looking for is, and I've had this, it's kind of a complaint about DNN world forever, is that most of the examples, most of the documentation is for somebody who already knows the answer. So it helps, I think, people uh, who I think you're targeting is the folks uh, that have a relatively good idea of how to build a website, how to build a web page, how to build some rudimentary SQL stuff. So how does your code interface with that? And I thought that since the run SQL has a field that says here's what it returns, give an example, the most simple um, SQL statement that you have, which is a
Hmm.
simple insert into a table. And what would it, because that's the first thing you need to do is you need to get the idea of getting it back.
Yeah. And and Ben, I hear your thought about just putting the SQL here, but the one argument I'd have against that is that this is not about the SQL statement itself. It's about using the action. And in this specific example, we're using the action to select data for a user and then returning it into a user token namespace that can be used on subsequent actions. And importing this shows you that entire process instead of just the SQL query itself. Um, but it's not. I agree that it's not clear here what you're supposed to do with this. And but I think that maybe if we link back to the running examples page, that could help with that. Um, so yeah, I definitely think there's proven here, and also I think that if we had an example here, so that would cover the three basic things you want to do with SQL is it doesn't cover delete, but I think we can leave delete out. But we can, but it gives you a select, it gives you an update, and if we added an insert, then that would be pretty good coverage. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Very cool.
Cool. Anybody else have any other thoughts on it? Anybody else have any other items for first call? Somebody's got something else they want to discuss. I know they do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, cool.
I'm clapping, not raising my hand, and I apologize.
That's fine. You can applaud all you want. That's great.
So ran into a bit of a challenge, and this is somewhat, I think, maybe if you've not done it before, an FYI as opposed to a problem. What I have found, I've running into, managing users, and particularly in this case, managing locked out users. So there's no stored procedure or process inside of DNN to actually unlock a user. You've got to do it manually using some SQL. Assuming what I'm trying to do is put the ability to unlock a locked user in the hands of a project manager slash, low level, if you would, administrator. And so wrote deliberately locked somebody out, wrote the code to update the appropriate tables inside of SQL and update the ASP net membership table. I said, all right, let's put that in a routine, a SQL statement inside of one of my managed users area. Gave it a shot. Works great in SQL and just simply does not work when you run it inside of as a SQL statement inside of Plantain app. So my guess is that somehow, probably for very good reason, SQL, the running SQL commands inside of Plantain app doesn't allow you access to those tables. I didn't see a particular. All right, you're gonna show me an action.
Yeah, we
Are
do have an
you
unlocked user.
are you kidding me? I went looking for that.
Really, it's under user management. One thing I think that might happen if you're doing it in SQL, I think that it's a cache issue that you're experiencing.
Well,
Just
You beat me
yeah, go
to it.
ahead. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm
okay.
sorry, Ben. You were raising your hand. Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a cache issue.
Yeah, there's nothing that I'm aware of that you cannot run through the SQL action. It's not going to stop you from doing it. The thing that would look like it's stopping you is just like what Patrick said. You can make the change in the database, but if it had already loaded that data into its cache, it's going to return to you cached information. So it's not going to look like anything changed. You'd have to
Well,
actually go to the
So
server and clear cache.
yeah,
okay. So
or that user's cache. Yeah.
here's what I observed. First of all, I did not observe this unlock user function. That's number one. But what I did observe was when I did it, in a part of a stack using a SQL, I actually went back to the membership and looked at that user, and that user was not unlocked. And I did this in, SQL Server Management Studio. So the user was not unlocked, but you've obviated this whole issue by
So
pointing
yeah,
out.
the action I'm pretty sure uses the DNN API to unlock the user. So it's going to be more complete. It's going to and I believe that it will also I haven't tested this in a while, so I'll just put that caveat there. But I'm pretty sure it'll clear the user cache as well.
Hmm.
So it'll
Also
take
be
care of.
aware that when you're talking about user stuff, because you said membership, so I'm assuming you were looking at the ASP membership table.
Correct.
Um, that is not the only table. There's a whole slew of different tables, and sometimes there are fields in those tables that are not what you think they are. They're not the ones that are in use. There is a users table, and there's also a portals users table. You have to make
Yes.
sure that you touch the correct ones and update the correct fields for whatever the lockout is. Now, off the top of my head, I don't recall lockout, which one it is.
It's
Um,
ASP. It's the excuse me. Mem excuse me, membership. Sorry. It's the
yeah,
membership table.
again, I haven't played with that, so I'm not 100% sure because I know that there are other things like the deleted flag is on multiple tables.
Mhm.
The one that wins, the correct one, is the portals one. If you delete the users one or if you do any of the other deleted flags, that's not the correct flag. So it won't do anything. But on top of that, you were saying that DNN doesn't have the ability to unlock a user that's locked out.
There's
I
from
do it
what
all the time,
well,
Yeah, but that's
no,
there
right
as
from the
well.
users.
Yep.
Yeah,
no,
if
no,
you go to
no.
use.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I can do that. I just don't want to expose that user interface to
Oh,
my
okay.
my folks. So yes.
Got it.
Um, but okay. Well, you solved the problem. Thank you.
Yeah, the unlock user action will probably I think will fix the issue for you.
Dang. All right. You're probably right. Uh,
I
thank
was
you.
gonna. So Ben, just to clarify, you were saying that the user lock might be in another table besides the membership table. Is that what you were saying?
It's possible. Like I said, I just know off the top of my head the deleted one. Is in the flag is in multiple tables out of those three different ones,
Mhm.
and it's the
Yeah. So
user's
there's is
portal
deleted.
table,
Yeah.
that one that is deleted.
Yep.
That's the one that controls whether the account is flagged as deleted or not. But I believe it's either in the users or the membership table that also has a deleted, and that's not the one you want to touch because that will not do what you think it's going to do.
Yeah. This one here.
Correct. Yeah, no, it's okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me give this a whirl.
Yep. And this definitely does not have a lockout. So for lockout, most likely what you were doing is what we were dealing with, and that is, I think that the ESPN table is actually not included in this list. But anyway, yep. Or maybe it is. It's just the active form ones. There it is. Membership table. This one here.
All right, now I'm clapping because in fact
locked out.
you've answered it. Thank you.
I'm just trying to draw it out now. How much more can we talk about this? Just kidding. Cool. Anybody else have any thoughts or questions about that? Cool. Did anybody else bring anything that they want to chat with us about? And it doesn't have to be something you're having problems with. If somebody has a cool new idea they came up with this week, that'd be great too. Anybody?
Well, one of the things, and the reason why I was asking the question about the insert is that we have a project near and dear to our hearts where my wife is creating a glossary of terms for Agatha Christie, and I've talked about this before.
Yeah.
But what we ultimately ended up doing is used EasyDNN for articles, and we created a bunch of articles, and each term is an article. And she's embarking on the next volume, or she has been doing it, and she's been using EasyDNN. And if you're familiar with it, a lot of people use that product to add an article. You click the add article on one of the instances of the module on the page. You go through a whole bunch of fields. It takes a while. If you've got a lot of categories, especially what we're using categories to find what book it is, what chapter it is. So there's a very, very large list of categories that you have to go through. At any rate, it takes a long time to use Damir's, the EasyDNN's developer, his interface, which is a great interface in general, but she wanted something very fast. And so what I wanted to do was create a very simple insert that if she finds a new word, add it to the database immediately, very quickly. And so that's what I did. So I have Planted App now creating a EasyDNN record, article record, and also a category record or multiple records. And the content of which the article is basically being researched. So some little thing. So I did some digging and I figured out how Damir is organizing the articles and the categories, and create a little page for her to do that, and it worked great. So it took a little while to figure out, especially running around looking for how do I get the ID back so that I can jump from putting the article in, get the idea of what the article is, so then I can put a category record in that references, that ties the article to a category. But I did, and very happy with it. It's very slick. She's very happy with it. She's able to put a word in very quickly, and then move on to go back to the actual books and dig for the next.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I've been there also. I've had, to try to reverse engineer some other data structures so that I can interface with it directly. So yeah, I know it can sometimes be challenging, but but it definitely can. You can create a better interface for it if you. One time, just as a side story, slightly related, I took a completely third-party application that it wasn't even a DNN module. It was just a total complete third-party application, and I rebuilt the application in Planted App, but utilized all the same tables. I just kept the tables that they had and used the same tables and just rebuilt it in Planted App to make it do what I wanted it to do. And ultimately I felt like it was a more efficient way. So yeah, that's possible. You can do that.
Yes, exactly. And that's a very
Yeah.
cool feature or, what's the word, capability of Plantain app is that,
Mm.
you got an existing system there and you're not really sure, you don't want to try to decode it, but
Hmm.
you know what the tables look like and how they're being used. Just make your own code for it.
Yeah. Yes, Mark.
Doesn't Plantain app have a small set of actions that work against EasyDNN?
Yes, they do. I could not get the add article to work. It kept failing. And because it was over a weekend, I couldn't get anybody to answer a question. And I really needed to get it done. So I said, well, I'll just do it myself. I would like to go back and see if those, I mean, I'm not sure that they're supported. It's been quite a long time since those add-ons, that batch of add-ons was created, provided. So I'm not sure how it's
Yeah.
supported.
I think we keep pushing it forward because people are still using it, but we're not really developing it anymore. So yeah, I think I don't know if it's been I can't remember if it's been officially labeled as obsolete or what, but I do know that we do keep creating a new version for it as we push forward.
Ah, well,
Yeah,
then I
but
think I will
but
put it in
it's
I will
simply
put in a ticket.
yeah, but it's simply just taking the existing functionality and just keeping it current with the current versioning of the Plantain app modules, so that I can see what the current status of it is right now.
In my experience, I got them to work, but not perfectly. I mean, they did what they were designed to do, but it didn't go far enough to make me happy with the result, is what I found.
And there is an add article action that I was trying to work with, and it just kept failing. I thought I was filling in all the right parameters, and it's a very generic error that says the provided information basically didn't work. And I'm not sure what I was doing wrong. So maybe I will put in a ticket since it is being supported, just so that I can get the answer, because I am curious. I've bypassed it all and just doing my own add article in effect, but I would like to know.
Yeah, I encourage you to, yeah, you might as well go ahead and do that, and that will prompt us to look into it more. I don't have it installed here, so I can't look at it. But anyway, EasyDNN, that is. Yes, Matt.
Well, just a little bit of a plug for EasyDNN. I, like Don, I am using EasyDNN a lot, and the they do a lot of things that are complementary to Plantain app, and just generally speaking, anything that you guys can do to help facilitate that and continue that integration, I think is a good thing. For example, I'm using the news article, the news capability simply to create pages, fast pages as quote unquote articles. They've got the search there. They've got, you can format the layout. They've got all the SEO figured out. All that stuff just simply works. And anything that Plantain app can do in general to communicate and support that, I think would be a good thing for everybody. I'm also using it to build out FAQs on my site. Again, same thing, where it's very fast. It's like
Hmm.
ridiculous. Once you get it set up, and it's a little bit tricky to set it up for each one of the, types of use you're going to have. But once you get that figured out, man, it's fast, it's good, and it does the job. So anyway, shameless plug. I'm done.
Cool. I think that covers just about anybody. I was wondering if anybody else had any comments on EasyDNN. Looks like Jerry dropped out. So anybody else have any other topics they want to discuss?
By the way,
And
I just implemented and tested that unlock user. Works great. Thanks.
Oh, cool. That was fast. Yeah. And when you were trying to find it, did you search for the action also, or did you just look under user management, or just wondering if there's anything we could have done to make that easier for you to find?
Yeah, help me spell unlock. In the
Actually, I
search
think,
terms.
well, I do think actually we improved the search and the action drop down so that you could actually just type lock and you should be able to find it.
Well,
Um,
I don't, it's been a while that
okay.
I went quite a while ago to try to find this capability. I didn't find it, so it's my bad, but I don't think you guys did anything wrong.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. Anybody else have anything they want to share? And once again, not just things you want to get help with, but if you have anything fun to share that you succeeded with, that's great too. All right, well, let's go back over here to the presentation and move along a little bit. Let's see. Take a look at the community forum. Had a little bit of action on here this week. Does anybody have anything they want to specifically call out? I don't think there's anything that I looked here earlier. This one, everybody knows how to find the tokens for their when you're using the email integration in Automation Scheduler, I hope, but if not, that's answered here. So if you're using the IMAP integration, the help here explains to you all the tokens that you have available to you when the email comes in. Not sure about this one here. Yes. And Ben, thank you. I love how you jump in on so many of these. This was all right. And I think on Campfire, I don't believe there's anything new, but I'm going to take a look just to see. Nope, I think the last call we discussed this one right here. Does anybody have any plans to post anything on Campfire sometime soon? You want to run by us? Come on, guys. Let's take a look at feature requests. Has anybody put in a feature request recently they want to plug? Open form and sidebar.
I think I put a feature request in there, and I'm trying to remember what it was.
I saw your picture there. I'm going to take a quick look at this one, and then I'm going to go back and take a look at that one too. I like this idea here. And especially, there's been a few situations where I feel like that. So he's add an option on the open form and pop-up stop execution to open it in a sidebar instead of a mobile. And I like or a separate action, but I like the idea of it being the same action. And as a matter of fact, something that I've often thought is that I wish that we didn't have an open form pop up and stop execution and an open form pop up and continue execution action. I kind of wish that there's actions where we have different actions for stopping or continuing execution, that it was a selection that you could make in the action so that we would just have fewer actions. That's something that I've contemplated for a while. How do others feel about that? Do you think that makes sense too?
Pretty sure that I added that as a
Oh,
feature
is it in there
request.
already?
I think
Okay.
I did.
Yeah, I think all of
Several weeks
these.
ago.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because so often I know that everybody on this call is probably in the same situation, but so often I'll have something continuing execution and then I realize, wait, I really needed to stop, or vice versa. And then I have to add the new action and it's just an extra step that if I just had a checkbox, I wouldn't have to do. See, yep. Got a thumbs up from Matt and an applause from Ben. We all agree with that one. Yep. So yeah, I would definitely, if we went with this, which I like the idea of the sidebar. That's a good idea. It would definitely, I think, be a setting. I'd prefer a setting in the open form action. And so here's yours, Mark. Easy button to make a token for a workflow. So if there's a button or checkbox in the workflow designer that would automatically create a token that runs the workflow, instead of having to go to tokens and add a workflow token. Yeah.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit extra work to do that. And I'm thinking low code, right?
Yeah. Seems like that that shouldn't be too much of a challenge. Matt, you have a question about that?
Yeah. So I am trying to scrub my event log clean with some recurring messages that I'm getting. And this is more of an FYI for everybody else. One of the errors that I was getting was innocuous. It wouldn't cause a problem or anything like that. But it had, and I'll look up the error itself, but it had to do with the 404 page. Basically, the 404 page cannot use the Plant and App theme. You have to use another theme. For some reason, it wasn't considered or implemented or whatever, and it throws an error in the system. I was getting a lot of them. I couldn't figure out why because there was nothing apparent. And I entered a ticket, and Mihai, I think it was, ultimately answered it, and that was it. So changed it to whatever the standard DNN one is, and problem solved.
So you mean the page that you specify here specifically is what you're talking about?
Right. If you go to that page
Okay.
in the pages, then go to advanced. Just go to advanced. Okay. Yep. And then appearance. If you use the DNN, if you use the page builder one, it will throw an error in your event log that is pretty indecipherable. You can't tell what, where, when, or why, but it happens, and that was ultimately the reason that 404 page cannot use the Plant and App theme. That doesn't look like the Plant and App theme.
No, it's not. Yeah.
You have a page called C.
No, this should be I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, it's the 404 page. It's just not. It's just not loading the. It doesn't load the Plant and App theme. So now, and that might be. I don't know. I need to I'm not sure if maybe somebody else has some ideas on that, but it might be that 404 just automatically uses whatever the site default theme. Although my site default theme is probably Page Builder, but let's take a look at logs. Is this let's see, 321, 341? Is this the timings right? Is this the error that we're talking about?
I've got a page load exception. I'm getting the actual error itself out of the help ticket. Here, let me I'll do the interstack trace and put it in chat for you.
Yeah, this is definitely the error that's being produced.
All right, so I just put the error in chat, and it was something about a global container.
Yeah. Scoped DI container could not be retrieved.
Yeah, that looks like it.
Yeah.
Yep, let's scope DI. Yep, that's it.
Worth checking into, definitely.
So the response from Mihai said the error is related. Well, rather than read it to you guys, I'll just put it in chat.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us, Matt.
Okay. Yeah, it's good to know.
All right, I got another one if nobody else has anything here. I got issues today.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So I'm getting another event where it's saying in this particular case that the module load exception is that it could not find the field user ID in the grid. Well, user ID is in the grid and it's working, but it's throwing an error. And I have no idea, well, little idea, if no idea as to why. It's my manage users grid. And, I've got user ID, first, last, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, it's throwing an error saying it can't find presumably the column, the field user ID, but it's displaying on the screen. It comes up when I go to like edit the listing, shows as one of the chosen fields. So I don't know if
And you're certain
anybody's.
you're choosing it from the correct page, like it's not some other listing causing this issue.
No, so what I've got my event logs, and then if I click on it gives me the tab ID. I go to the tab modules. It's 1482. Go look at that, and that points directly to this manage users page. And when I open the manage users page, there it is. So it's going to the correct page / module, and it ain't working. Well, excuse me, it's working. It takes a while to load, which is interesting, but there's quite a few users, so that's understandable. But it's throwing the error that it cannot find the user ID column, which is odd.
Okay, so this is a little embarrassing, and you probably don't have the situation because you're a great programmer.
Oh, that's a setup if I've ever heard one. All right, hit me.
I just had this happen today because I had your situation. I had a field, a column in the listing, and I wanted it to not show in the listing full height. So I went in there and I told it I wanted it to be text, and I gave it the codes to set the height.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remembered, then I can't search for something in that column anymore. And so I added the column again, And I didn't bother to change the field ID in the listing. So I had a duplicate ID. And under that situation, I tried to refer to the ID and it just plain didn't work. Probably because it didn't know which one of those two columns it needed to refer to. But so that's why my preface, like I'm sure you don't have that situation.
Well, of course you're being cheeky with me, but no, I don't I don't see it in there twice. And this is a very much a straight vanilla listing. I've done nothing to it other than, added around it, but nothing but I don't use user ID twice. I don't style it. I don't do anything.
You didn't by chance happen to change the title.
No, the title of the field is user ID, and of course the reference is user ID.
Mhm.
So completely vanilla. Auto determine the field from the data source. Didn't touch alignment. Nothing.
Is user ID perhaps a reserved word?
I don't think so. What is your data source?
A SQL Select.
It is a SQL Select. Okay.
Yeah. I'm pulling from a view, but I don't think that should matter.
And your view has a column called user ID, obviously,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it does.
Because something else that I've seen is that because this can happen is that if you leave if you have one data source and you change the data source but leave the columns in place, this
Yeah.
issue can come up then. And
Yeah, like the user ID column will come up blank when you go to save and refresh, things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, no, this is not that. I know what you mean, but it's not that.
and your data source has always been that view.
Yeah,
It wasn't. Okay. Yeah, that qualifies as a ghost story. If you want to, if you feel like sharing your screen to show us the settings, you
sure.
can do that too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, let me share. Hold on.
Matt, I think this means that you're just, for this application, you're not going to be able to use users.
Okay, that's fair. All right, so this is my select. This is my view here. There's nothing terribly unique
I see
about
I see a column called user ID.
Yeah, that I had in there.
No,
I'm thinking
on line 5.
line 5, user ID.
Typo strikes again.
Perhaps.
So let's take a look at the fields. Are you referencing user ID or are you referencing?
No, I'm not. Well, let's put it this way. I don't think I am. So this is what I'm referencing.
Ref user ID. So that might be the issue right there.
Okay. I mean,
the user ID is listed as a field to use. So let's look at the query again. Go back up to the top and choose data source. So where is user ID in there?
right here.
Oh, at the very first one. Okay, I just went directly below everything else. So I wonder, so what's the U user ID for? Do you know what it is?
Off the top of my head, don't know.
Okay.
Let's try this. See what happens. That might be simply a typo. Okay. Let's see if I get. All right. No error message. Sometimes. Okay. possibly it, but I don't see the connection to that, but maybe that is it. Maybe it is a typo, number one, and then maybe by eliminating that typo, that did the trick. Don't know.
Is this all test data that you're sharing?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. So I will I'll make sure I blur those out before we
Thank
post.
you.
Yep. That is so do you have the error that
Yep.
you can put? Oh, no, you put it
I
in the
did.
chat already. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's that's the 1482 there on like the third or fourth line down is the actual module that I'm working on. That's this manage users. So, well, now that I mean, I've commented that out. Thank you. That was a good catch. Maybe that's going to resolve the issue.
Oh, yeah, so the error that you put doesn't have the actual it doesn't actually say that at least I can't see that it says that that it can't find the user ID column.
Yeah, let's see. All right, the inner message. Hang on, let me put that up there.
Can I find column user ID? Well, monitor it and see if it happens again. Maybe we can take a closer look at that.
Take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning. Will do.
All right. Anybody else have any other topics they want to cover? Not. I'm going to go ahead and put a wrap on it. Let me share my screen again before I do that. All right. Oh, yeah, there we go. That qualifies as a ghost story, I think. So I'm going to just point that out right there. We had a ghost story. And so having said all that, thank you everybody for joining us on this first day of spring 2025. And until next time, happy low coding. And if you can stick around for the afterglow, please do.